let's look at that situation. I mean, his sentencing got delayed. It's going to be coming up in November, and now something new has happened. They want a new trial based on some newfound evidence. And what do you think about that whole thing, Zach?
I think it's problematic. It's much like, with the Bakke case and affirmative action, calling for reverse discrimination, crying foul, the real foul is really felt by the Oscar Grant family and African Americans in that, Bay Area. Oscar Grant, that situation can't be reversed. Oscar Grant's gone. But the bottom line is that, justice still in many ways is connected for some people to entitlement. They still feel entitled, and if they can find a legal loophole, then they will use it to their advantage. And so, the laws are hopefully used to the advantage of people who are underserved and everyday people. But oftentimes, everyday people don't benefit. And so you have these miscarriages of justice. And even when you talk about him, the officer being, convicted of involuntary manslaughter, when everyone knows, in the situation where it was videotaped or known, that it was the opposite. So, in those cases there, it's like, can justice be served by people who don't oftentimes have the resources? And that's a major question. I mean, certainly it's in the legal rights and purviews of the defense attorney to call for another case, but, is it right? I mean, and it seems just so disrespectful to, the family and even the whole situation to even call for that. But again, a lot of people have a sense of entitlement. They have a sense of disconnectedness. And if they can, they'll find some precedent like they did in Kentucky to say, well, this, in many ways calls for that, the officer acted in good conscience and by the right standards. But at the end of the day, justice is still averted.
And it's still a dead man.
And for those people who aren't familiar with the case, I mean, the fact that this police officer is saying that he allegedly pulled his gun instead of his taser and shot Oscar Grant when he was face down on the floor, I mean, we have involuntary manslaughter. We have cases that say you made a mistake. They're now trying to come back and say, look, well, this has happened before. He should be off scot-free. So even if you're going to propose the argument that, okay, oops, this was a mistake, if you killed somebody, there are repercussions no matter what job you're in.
Well, I agree with you 100%. It's amazing to me, when I read that part, that, that was put forth as a legitimate justification. You somehow, with all your training and preparation, you couldn't distinguish between a gun and, and whatever. I'm like, that's ridiculous. I mean, imagine some brother in the hood or some sister in the hood, use that as an excuse in a court of law before a judge. They would get laughed out the courtroom,
And
so
the big difference between this case is that guy survived and Oscar Grant didn't.